All right, what is going on, everyone? And welcome to another special episode of Black Desert. So, every few seasons, I like to make an update video, and with the current winter season that just ended earlier this week, I like to talk about what to do after seasons and how you guys can go about like progressing and what are some other things to do. So this is more tailored towards newer players or returning players, but I would love to hear all of your feedback on how to go about things as well. And usually throughout the year, I actually learn stuff too. And these are just some tips that I would give you guys. So first of all, let's say you are coming out of seasons, right? And all your gear is like Tuvala. Let me see. I don't even know. So pretend your gear is like that. Disregard this earring. Pretend that's Pen, right? So you have full Tuvala and you're curious where to go next because this is your first character and you don't know what to do. So after this, what I would recommend doing is talking to, I think, Jatina, and you could transfer, or you could turn, like if this is your first character, you could turn all of these pieces into boss gear. Same with weapons. And then if this is your second character, you can transfer one piece of Tuvala gear into a boss gear, right? So after you do that, let's pretend your gear looks like this, more or less. Just pretend I have earrings somewhere. And yeah, so your boss gear should look like all Tet boss, and then you could pick between DR and evasion. So assuming that's where you're at and you're wondering, what do I do? So here are some things that I would personally do, and then here I will tell you like what are some life skills, grind routes, and like we'll branch off after that. So yeah, assuming you have post-season gear and everyone ends up at that point, what I would do is talk to Jatina, right? And you should have been doing this during seasons, but if not, there's no like real bad time to start. You just do it whenever. And you're gonna be doing like things to go for pen gear, and that means pen accessories, pen armors, and weapons, right? So you may be wondering, where do I grind for this? What do I do about it? And so you talk to Jatina, and then she'll have a bunch of quests for you, and it'll allow you to go down the route of how do you get to guaranteed pens. So when you click the progression pass over here, if you haven't already completed them, I would recommend doing them because it gives you a bunch of rewards, as you guys can see at the bottom as well. And a lot of these are actually pretty good from just playing the game. I think it'll give you a nice head start. So down here in the guaranteed pen, it'll basically teach you how to go about getting all the materials and how do you like actually get the pens. So basically it's a lot of material collecting, and then you get the piece of gear, and then you'll be able to enhance it to like guarantee pen. So for the first like few, like one or two, it's cheaper to make it from the guaranteed route than buy it off the market. So you'll be saving a few billion silver. And then after that, basically you're gonna have to earn it yourself, whether it's buying it or making it. So that's just some basic tips on how to get your first few pen gear pieces. And then Jatina also has another quest line that you can start. So basically, if you look under your reoccurring quest tab, you'll see for like boss gear and accessories. And you could look at all of these. So basically, if you do a daily quest, you can get up. I think they actually buffed it, so it's a lot easier nowadays than it was when I did it. So basically, you get a bunch of burning moonlight material or blackstone powders, right? And then you just look at the materials and they'll teach you like what, or you'll know what to do and get all the things, whether it's grinding or life skilling. Personally, I would do the grind ones because it literally gives you like 4 of them. And if you do the life skilling ones, it gives you 2 of them. So either way, they have quests for all AP levels. So whether you're out of seasons directly or you just have a lot of AP, generally the grind ones are pretty nice. So yeah. And with that said, let's say you did that and you have like a piece of pen gear. Now I'm just going to give you a little bit of extra info, or just a little tip that I would personally give people. So when you're going for your free pen accessory, right, you have 3 choices: the pen crescent ring, the pen narc earring, and the pen tongrad earring. So you can switch them. Let's say you made a mistake and you chose one but you don't think you need it, and then so you want to switch it to another one. You can do that, but I believe you get like 1 free swap at Tet, 1 free swap at pen, and then after that it's going to cost you like 1 billion silver or something. So I think either way it's not that bad. I would personally, for most people, I would stick to the pen crescent ring, and it's the equivalent to like the real ones. It's just a guaranteed one. So this is 20 AP, and I would recommend this to like beginners because this is going to give you the most value in terms of AP as a newer player. And then like getting a pen accessory is probably one of the last things I would recommend to people. Like before you go for any accessories, I would recommend you going for full pen armors. And weapons are a little bit of a different story. Like if you have a pen boss gear like a Zarka, Dandy, Kudum, Nuver, or those things, that's fine. You can just Capris them until you think you're ready to go for a Black Star. So yeah, I would always go for the pen crescents first as a new player. If you are more on the advanced side and you're a returning player, I would recommend going for the narc earring, because I would always say that this one is more of an endgame one, and even for myself, I do use it like when I'm grinding higher end areas that I think might be scary. Generally the DP bonus is a lot nicer. So yeah, ultimately newer player to mid game player, I'd recommend the crescent. End game or like mid to end game players, the narc earring is good, but like you can always swap it around. It's not free, but you can swap it around if you think you need it. So that's a little tip for the accessories. In terms of which route of weapons you would go from the guaranteed ones, is usually I would choose the main hand weapon, because whether you're a PvPer or a PvEer, the main hand gives a lot of accuracy. And even if you are mostly an awakened player, so like if you play awakening, whatever class you are, the amount of accuracy like the main hand gives over the awakening is significant, to the point where it's always worth going for main hand first and then awakening. And the offhand in general across the board for all classes is very minimal, to the point where if you had a Kudum and C20'd it or Capris 20'd, it's like very minimal. So I just kind of liked having matching things, that's why, but it doesn't matter. Now, in terms of armors, let's say you have full Tet, right? You finish season, and you're wondering, okay, so which piece of gear should I go for? I would recommend going for, if you're going for an armor, you would be going for the red nose instead of a dim tree. And the reason why is the end game goal is to go for a fallen god, which is what I'm wearing now. And so the amount of Capra stones it takes to get to Capris 10 is less on red nose compared to a dim tree. Why? I don't know. It was just designed that way. So if you're going for the armor route, I believe the fallen god armor, to get it, is you would have to grind Turos or get to flame. And over here is a lot easier, and it's a little bit older content, so it might be easier to get it off the market as well. So in this area, it's a 2-person grind spot, which is the annoying part, to be honest. But like overall, the requirement is a lot lower. And if you're going for the helmet, it's Jade Starlight Forest at 280. So either way, when you're going for Fallen God and Libresca, which is the end game pieces, the Libresca is obviously a little bit newer. It's harder to get, but ultimately, if you're within the 270, 280 range, you can do them just fine. But with that said, I would go for the armor first, and then the helmet, because your end game goal is to Capris him up and then exchange it. And then after that, well, depending on when you're watching this video, we already know that the gloves is going to be like the third tier of like Fallen God, Libresco, whatever it's called whenever it comes out. So this one would be third and then fourth. So I guess there's a specific order. If I were to tell you this like 2 years ago, it would be very specifically this one and then do whatever. But yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Do it in that order just because they can be exchanged later. And so in terms of, that's basically gear progression. And in terms of accessories, this is the tricky part because it's the most time consuming and expensive. Accessories are always going to be the expensive parts in the game. So my general recommendation for when people ask me, hey, what order should I go for these? The answer really is what gives you the most stats, whether it's AP or if you're a DP build, most DP, for the lowest amount of silver, and pick that one. But from my experience, it's generally, assuming you're going Crescents route, the Crescents, which you would have one already because we talked about the free guaranteed one, you just buy one more. Then you would go belt, then necklace, and then the rings will always be last because distos are very expensive. Just any necklace or earring in general is expensive. And then light stones are just something you get on the side. I have an entirely different video. It would take so long to cover it. But yeah, whatever light stone combo works for you, just Google a guide. I have a video as well. And then when it comes to the Bell's Heart, that one, it's really annoying because you could buy one, but it's just like, it's a lot of silver for the amount of stats you get. And so if you were thinking about getting an alchemy stone for the first time, here's what I would do. And this is actually what I did as well. So protection stones are very specific build, and I would, for the most part, ignore them unless you know what you're doing. For your average person, I would just go to destruction route. And if you can, try to buy a splendid, or no, not a splendid, sharp stone. And this is what I did too. So back in the day, I would just use these disposable one time, or like once you use the durability, it's gone, buy a new one. There's a lot on the market, it's fine. But if you want to have a more permanent one, what you could do is go down and buy the sharp alchemy stone. I think it's different now. Like if you can manage to get one, you can. But I think one of your progressions will be ultimately the Bell's Heart because it gives more stats. And for your average player, it's very good. So I think the reason why they're all sold out now is because the endgame players, they like to do the alchemy stone enhancing for it. And it's like actually the worst thing ever. One day I hope Pearl Abyss will actually change the entire alchemy stone enhancing rates. And it's just awful. And it's a huge money stick, worse than like enhancing a lot of pen gear. So yeah, if you can manage to get one of these, it's not too hard. You just probably have an order on it for a while. It's fine. But then get bells. It's kind of expensive. I feel like this is what you get after you have full pen weapons and armors, and your next goal is either like pen accessories or something. So yeah, there's that. And so I know we've been talking a lot about gear progression, and what I wanted to transition into was, what do you actually do after season? So like you don't know what to do. You finished up the quest line up to whatever they have now, and let's talk about it. Hold on, let me pull this real quick. All right, so after you graduate seasons, there's two routes you could take. Obviously, you can do them all, but generally, there's life skilling, and then there's grinding for silver. Obviously, you can do them both, but going for life skill gear is also very expensive, and going for like PvE, PvP gear is also very expensive. So for the most part, I'd recommend people to focus on one thing at a time instead of getting like one of everything, and then your gear is just, you feel like you're making no progress. So work on one at a time and then do the other one. So for your grinding route, this is going to be easy because I have a lot of videos on this. What you would do, and this is something they've revamped over time. So if you don't know where to grind, I would go to this thing you'll find it in your search bar as like Monster Zone info, and you could look at every region. And I think for people or graduating from season, you'll be like up to 250 AP, like 240 to 250, assuming you got full pen to Vala and you're done with that. So after these, I actually have looked at every single thing in another video, and I would say about 99% of them are accurate and what I would also recommend to people as well. So what you do basically is you look at each region, and then like you just hover over it and do whatever, and it'll tell you an AP DP recommendation area. And I think a lot of them are very accurate. So some places you grind for certain items, like for example Forest Renaros, right? This is a 240 area. 240 is what they would recommend to grind efficiently. Yes, that means you can technically be there and grind at like 220 AP. Yes, you can kill them, you'll probably be fine, but 240 is you'll be there without any threat, you won't die, you'll just be fine. So this place is obviously for the infinite potion pieces, and that is one thing I would recommend working on after seasons. Honestly, I would recommend doing it while you are on seasons, because you get the season servers and sometimes you get to grind in peace. That's nice. But if you didn't do that first time, didn't know, that's fine. That's something I would work on as well. So that's also another thing. So like I have infinite potions on here, and I also have a completely second set on my other characters just because I use them when I do seasons. So going for your infinite potions, I have a video of that as well. Just search up like infinite potions BDO or something, and then my video might be there. Or if you need help, just literally find it on my channel. And so infinite potions are a generally good spot for people. The AP requirements and the DP are generally good. Something I'd recommend, and you should be basically okay to grind all those spots. So yeah, after your infinite potions and you want to look up like what places you should grind, in my opinion, from 240 to 250, it's kind of tricky because there's a lot of things you can do. Like 250 is it's a little too low to grind some of the efficient spots, but it's like you can get from 250 to 270 roughly, pretty easily. So I know a lot of people recommend centaurs to people, and because centaurs is just a lot of silver, but you have to use Agris on it. So one thing I guess I would recommend people do, I kind of just assume that everyone does this during seasons, but if you don't, obviously try to do all your adventure logs, because they give straight up free stats over here. So like AP, DP, just straight stats. And then sometimes they give you the ability to like expand your Agris, which allows you to grind for like more silver. And then basically it's a lot of free bonuses. And also a few other things is just by doing all of these, you just get like permanent buffs for your account. And so this is one thing that I would recommend doing it during seasons, but once again, obviously if you didn't know about it, there's no bad time to do it, you just do it. And so yeah, get that done, go for infinite pots, learn where to grind, and just they actually changed the UI of this. Before you would have to it was just one long list and then we looked at it, but nowadays they sorted it by category and regions. So Mountain of Eternal Winter is more of a end game spot, because like the reasons why you would grind in certain spots is mostly for the Labresca helmet. So like you'll be there, but you don't need to be there straight out of seasons. I personally think that right after seasons, you're going to spend a lot of time in either Drigan, Kama Sylvia, Drigan and Kama Sylvia, going for infinite potions and various other goodies. Sometimes maybe Valencia if you're grinding centaurs. A lot of these spots are very specific. I've been in Histria for the past like year, I don't know, 6 months, and going for an Elton piece, but that's like, I'm not even there for money. It's one for very specific things. Either way, so just figure that out. Look into Monster Zone. I do have a video of it. Check that out. And so another thing is, if you're going down the life skill route, this is a little bit unique because other games might have it. Other games might have like worse versions of it. But if you've ever played like RuneScape, RuneScape was one of my first MMOs that I've ever played. And so you're used to a lot of things like lumbering, fishing, all these other things. So if you've played RuneScape or just a lot of other life skills just are generally things you can do in other MMOs, RPGs, you're probably used to it, right? So if I were to give you guys a recommendation, as a newer player, gathering is one of the most profitable life skills to do. It is a little bit tricky in terms of like how you go about starting, because there's a lot of different tools you're gonna need. So like over here, you'll see a tool bag. There's a quest you can get Liana's tool bag, put all your tools in it. And so, yeah, there's a lot of these different things. I have a video in a longer rant on how to go about it, doing each one. But just in a simple thing, to keep this video in particular simple, gathering is a very, I wouldn't say cheap thing, but it's very profitable. Fishing is a life skill that you do like AFK. So like, let's say, I don't know, you leave your computer on and you have to go to work. Go set yourself up to AFK fish. When you come back, you'll probably have some fish, sell it, and then free money. Hunting is very profitable, and it's also good for people who do other life skills as well. So gathering is a entry life skill to certain other ones like cooking, alchemy, and processing. And cooking is actually probably the #1 most profitable life skill. However, it's not as easy as, oh, I cook eggs and sell it. It's kind of like you can do that, but it's like steps on a ladder to how much profit you make. Like the more complicated or complex meals and things you make, the more you can sell it for. But that obviously comes with time and learning where to get and like gather all the materials and then combine it into one, and then selling it, reading or understanding the central market and what you think is a good price to sell them. So yeah, cooking is very profitable. It also does require like a lot of knowledge that you probably won't get. So as an entry level, I would just say gather a lot of things and then hold on to them, or you can just sell them to the market. Raw materials for a lot of money, that's fine too. And so yeah, cooking is very profitable. It also does require a lot of information and knowledge to do. Alchemy is something that it's a little tricky right now, because in the current game, if you are doing alchemy, it's not for profit. You're doing it because you want to use the potions for yourself and grinding. So like, yeah, you can, like, you would gather the materials and then alchemy it, but you're not selling it. You're using it for yourself to grind more efficiently and everything, right? And then processing is literally taking a raw material, processing it into a higher tier material, and then either using it or selling it. So this is also an AFK activity, in my opinion. So once again, put all your materials in storage, process them while you're AFK, and then either sell it or use it. Training is something that I don't really have too much experience in. Like, I know how to do it. I don't know profit margins on it, but from what I've been told, if you know how to do things efficiently, training is pretty profitable. For me, I personally, this is probably my weakest life skill. So I know how to capture horses and train them, but it's kind of one of those things where you invest a lot of time into, and if you're doing training, it's because you really enjoy training. So yeah, I don't have too much experience in it. I know how to do it. So if you guys have any questions, I may be able to help you with that one, but once again, my weakest life skill. Trading, the dead life skill. It used to be cool back in the day. Basically, you buy various materials from the trade manager in a town and then bring them to another town for profit. Sounds cool, right? Except the difference is the profit margins are so low to the point where you could literally just go grind for an hour and then literally make significantly more money than trading. So I hope one day Prolibus just literally buffs trading to the point where it might be even competitive with grinding, but it's not. So, or even competitive with gathering. It just takes time or something. But either way, trading is a dead life skill. You can do it for the first, like, if you want to do it, it's cool, but it's not profitable. Farming is one of the life skills you do, not really for profit, but if you are planning on going for a tier 9 horse in the future, which is basically the Pegasus, the Unicorn, the Doom horse, the special horses of the game, then you're mostly gonna be doing farming for the materials to make them yourself, because a lot of them are just sold out on the market permanently and it's very hard to get. So farming is one of those where you get the materials and then you make the horse yourself, kind of thing. It's not really profitable, but there's a few ways to actually get them, and farming is one of them. Selling and bartering. Oh boy, I have a lot to talk about for this one. Ocean content in video games. Most games, like, you either do it right or wrong. I think BDO does a pretty good job with ocean content, and you could invest a lot of time into it. I've actually spent a good few months going for like the highest end ship, and there's a lot of options. You can, if you've seen my other videos, I thought they were pretty interesting. But for the most part, selling and bartering, I personally have another character that does all my selling and bartering now, and I won't go into too much detail for this one, but it's basically the ocean content. You barter. It's kind of like trading. Bartering is like trading, but in the ocean. Bring material from point A to point B, and then you make money from it. Sailing is basically, are you in the ocean? Are you sailing? You killing sea monsters, grinding in the ocean, cool stuff. That's sailing. I feel like sailing is not mostly about the profits, but it's more just like you sail because you like doing it. And so it's harder to explain it, but just in general, if you're burnt out of grinding, or you're burnt out of gathering, I would try sailing. It's a breath of fresh air, and you're in the ocean. Let's say your goal as a sailor is to get the best boat possible, get the best boat gear possible, and then just go grind sea monsters in the ocean or something. So yeah, basically it's like grinding, but in the ocean. And it's very expensive as well. So it's very just time consuming. So yeah, I would not recommend doing all three of them at once, otherwise, unless you enjoy being on BDO for like 18 hours a day or something. But yeah, I think it's something to look into. Those are all the life skills and the routes you can do. So if you're looking for profit, gathering is very good. Hunting is very good. I believe hunting requires a little bit of investment in terms of getting like the actual matchlock or the hunting gear. But overall, once you get like some of that entry level stuff, you'll be fine. Whatever materials you get with your gathering, you could do cooking, alchemy, or processing. Basically, if you want to turn raw materials into higher tier materials, you can do that in one of those three. And I gave you my opinions on the other life skills. So with that said, we've been talking for about 30 minutes, and I want to wrap up here. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave it in the comments. I'll do my best to answer it, or join the Discord. All the things are down there, as well as there's a link in the description, so you can join the Discord. I'm pretty active on that. I do want to grow the Discord community as well, so if you have any questions, Twitter, all that good stuff, and I would love to see you guys come back. So if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. I want to say thank you guys for watching this video, and I will see you guys tomorrow. So yeah, peace.